We are at war with Iran. Don't take my word for it. Take President Trump's word for it.
The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war.
Yeah, so the man himself is saying we're at war because people will be like, it's not really a war. We're just sprinkling some bombs. It's not. Listen, the president just told us it's war, even though he's not allowed to declare war because in the Constitution it clearly says it's up to Congress. And of course, people will bring up things like, but the War Powers Act of 19. Yeah, that says if we get attacked or if we're in imminent danger. Okay, we're not in imminent danger of getting nuked by Iran. But again, I know we've passed the constitutional argument so long ago when Obama bombed Libya. Okay. Yeah, at least Bush would like lie to us and claim like, oh, it's just a little operation. We're gonna go free Iraq. And you would think operation, that should just take a few weeks, right? And then you're just stuck there for like 10 years. But no, this is where we're at and why. Why are we bombing Iran? And you get some pretty stupid takes if you look online enough. We saw something like this. This guy is saying that we have to fight against Sharia law because of our Judeo-Christian values. And they have no problem with Muslims, but they're inhumane. And we have to fight against Sharia law. Now, some of you would be like, wow, this guy is, he's really brainwashed to believe that. Listen, I don't even care, like, if what he's saying is true or false, or if he even believes it. Let's just logically see if that makes sense. Because if we're really fighting against Sharia law, why did we leave Afghanistan? But you see, people don't really think like this. This guy, he doesn't think, there's no actual consistency. The idea is not congruent. They don't care. They just say stuff. And then we hear all the other usual excuses. Oh, they have nuclear weapons. I thought we obliterated the program 6 months ago. Or we need to free the Iranian people. And I'm just like, yeah, the regime sucks. But how is this going to free them exactly? See, no one wants to really talk about it because it takes more than just sprinkling some bombs and getting rid of the regime. People say, oh, going to war is going to be like Iraq. It's not going to be like Iraq. It's going to be like Libya, okay? And we know what happened to Libya. You take out the leader, the dictator, there's a power vacuum, and people start killing each other like crazy. And Iran's a very diverse country, multiple ethnicities, multiple religions, Shia, Sunni divide. It's going to be a bloodbath because people don't really understand the basic idea that even if you bomb the regime's airports, their missile bases where they keep the tanks and all their big hardware, you're still going to have a bunch of them with guns. And the people of Iran don't have guns. Because what the regime did when they first came in is they disarmed everybody. That's why the Second Amendment is very important. That's why liberals don't understand this. They're like, why do you need guns? The government has fighter jets. Yeah, the point is, because if you really want to transition out power, at the end it's going to be a street fight. And if the people don't have guns, they can't overtake the government. But people don't really want to talk about this stuff. They don't really want to work it through to see how a regime change would actually work. You would think like people are just stupid. It's not just stupid. They're just lazy. They don't want to do this exercise. Because just think about it. Let's say they bomb all the places, get rid of heavy hardware, and then it's going to be a street fight then. And you have the regular people, they don't have guns, and then the army's just going to shoot and massacre them and rule by fear. And you have different fractions within the regime will break apart. Some of them may even start killing each other. It'll turn into a whole mess of a civil war. But you don't care. Some of you people just don't care. You don't think because your families are not there. And then some of you just don't even want to like do the basic of critical thinking of figuring out how a regime would change. But here's the thing, just like the people of Venezuela, some of y'all are going to understand that this wasn't about changing the regime. They're not trying to help the people of these countries, okay? What Israel wants is they want the Iranian government out, so there's a power vacuum, so there's a regime collapse and chaos. They may very well get regime collapse, but there's not going to be a regime change, okay? Iran's not just going to transition to some sort of modern democracy because we just bombed the area. And you don't believe me? People say, oh, well, the Iranian regime is not popular. No, it's not popular. But there's enough crazy people in that country that still support them to the death. You don't believe me? Take a look at the last Iranian election. Now, Iranian elections are fake. They're complete bullshit because the supreme leader and his friends, they get to decide who gets to run on the ballot. And typically they'll give you a fake reformist candidate who says the nice things, but he's just as bullshit and corrupt as the regime. And then they'll give you the hardline candidate. And 15 million people still voted for the hardline candidate. And that's not even including the children that they've brainwashed at the same time. So all these people are going to have guns and weapons. They're going to have a head start, and they're going to just start massacring people in the streets who have no weapons. They have no control of the internet. But you people don't think like this. You don't care about the little details. It's all about, let's just sprinkle some bombs and see what happens. And that's why this keeps happening to us. The war we're fighting is not in the benefit of America. This war is in the benefit of Israel. I'll be very honest with you. Israel has very legitimate grievances against the Iranian government. In fact, I'll go as far as to say that the Iranians have started with the Israelis by supporting their proxies, Hamas and Hezbollah. See, the Israelis don't really have a problem with Iran. They could care less. They just don't like the proxies. But they understand that they've been dealing with these proxies for so long that the only way to really deal with them completely is to take out Iran. And they can't really sell that to the American public. So they have to try to like create it to make it our problem as well. So they'll say things like, oh, Iran is really trying to like bomb our bases in the Middle East. And they're trying to create a nuke and to nuke New York City, which doesn't really make any sense because a lot of the Iranian regime people, they have kids who live in New York and they own properties and they work there. Yeah, you didn't know that, right? It's okay. I know you don't know anything. Most of you don't know nothing. You just talk and with just this hyperbole, just the talking points. They're gonna nuke us. Why would they nuke their apartment complex in Manhattan? It costs too much money to build and to buy. Why would they nuke that? Oh, they're gonna nuke Israel. Really? They're gonna nuke Israel with all the Palestinians there, with all the holy sites there. But you guys don't want to think like this. But it is true. Iran does support the proxies, Hamas and Hezbollah, and they do attack Israel. Now, the Israelis, they want to try to fix this problem, and I understand their perspective, but they just want to drag us into it to do their dirty work for them. And we just keep falling for this over and over again. Netanyahu, it was back in 2002, he came to the Congress and he said that if we got rid of Saddam, it will usher in an age of peace in the Middle East. He said this. You can look up at the clip. Well, the reason is Saddam, who we all know was a bad guy, was launching rockets into Israel. And somehow we got like roped in to go after him. Because people will say like, oh, so you support Saddam, you support Gaddafi, you support... No, just think a little bit of what we're doing here. And if it makes any sense. But none of y'all care about that. None of y'all care about that. You keep falling for the propaganda over and over and over. I don't know. I really don't know what to say at this point. I feel bad for the Iranian people. This is not gonna be good. I got family back there still. Gonna be civil war. A lot of people get killed. I mean, that's what's gonna happen if you just take the regime out with no alternative ready to go. You got a lot of Iranians. Some of them are even celebrating in Iran. People in Venezuela celebrated too when Maduro was taken out. They really thought things were going to get better for them. But they can't seem to wrap their mind around the idea that these actions are not meant for their benefit. Well, and then you got civilian casualties in Iran. They said they bombed a school and like 60 kids died. I don't even know if it's verified or not. But you know what? What the Iranian regime is already going to do? They're going to use that as propaganda to rally the people. That's what they did last time, too, 6 months ago, because there's a rally around the flag effect. This happens everywhere. After 9/11, Bush's approval rating went up to 90%. Yeah, because people don't like when their country get bombed. In the moment, people are going to be like, oh my God, this is messed up. Even people who don't like the regime. And then there's people who really, really hate the regime and they're celebrating. But then down the road, when they see this complete chaos in the streets, they'll realize, well, that didn't work out. It's funny, it's actually happened very similarly when the Shah was in power. A lot of Iranians didn't like the Shah at the time, a lot. And they thought their lives would get better by getting rid of the Shah. Didn't work out that way. Didn't work out that way. Because people don't really think logically about where this is all going. It's all just based on emotions. Which is weird because you would think I would be the most emotional about it. I got a family there. Luckily, my family lives in the South. They're aware of a lot of this stuff, but it's all going to trickle down. And now the Iranians have said that they're going to block the Straits of Hormuz. That's a small waterway that leads the Persian Gulf, connects the Persian Gulf to the rest of the world. And all they got to do is just make the area dangerous enough that oil shipments can't get out. And that's going to really jack up the price of oil, which is really the least problems that it could lead to bigger things like World War III. But no one really wants to talk about why we're doing all of this. We're all going to keep claiming that it's for the benefit of America, but when it's for the benefit of Israel. What's even crazier is that the foreign minister, Oman, told us yesterday that there was a breakthrough in the negotiations. He said the Iranians had agreed to give up all of their enrichment and to give back their fuel, the nuclear material that they had already enriched. This is a new thing. And he went on there, the foreign minister, he went on ABC to publicly say it, to just make sure the whole world knew that there was a deal on the table. But the Israelis couldn't have it. Because to them, it's not really about the nuclear issue. See, they understand that Iran's not going to nuke them. What they need is they need the Iranian regime removed so they can't keep funding Hamas and Hezbollah and all these other proxies attacking them. That's why they started the war. And a lot of people don't really understand the implication of this is that we joined them to bomb Iran while we were negotiating with Iran. Because the problem is this: going forward, any of our adversaries, whether it's Russia, China, Cuba, it doesn't matter, we're not going to be able to have good faith negotiations with them. Because at any moment, they're going to wonder if we're going to attack them in the middle of a negotiations. Because if we were going to do this, what we should have done was just be like, we're done negotiating with you, and then attack them. Now negotiating with us means nothing. But some of you can't even see that. It's crazy. It's really amazing that you don't even understand the basic etiquettes of diplomacy or even politics. A lot of the crowd is just like boom based. It's just like, all right. I think a lot of people are children, honestly. And there's no, and people are just not learning anything. Like they literally running the same playbook from Iraq, the weapons of mass destruction thing. It's just crazy. And the Iranians, their whole nuclear program is bullshit. See, they were trying to be slick. They were trying to negotiate with us over some bullshit they were never going to use anyway. When we knew the real problem was the proxies, was Hamas and Hezbollah. That's what we should have been negotiating them over them with. But they didn't want to play that game. And the Israelis, because that's their primary problem, they couldn't lead with that either. Because the American public would have been like, that's not my problem, man, if you got a problem with them funding groups around your country. So that's why it has to be spent up in this grand scheme of like Iran's going to nuke New York tomorrow. And people keep falling for it. We'll see. Hopefully this thing settles down quick. I hope there's not a civil war where hundreds of thousands of Iranians get killed, either through violence or through famine. I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy Trump decided to do this. It goes against one of his biggest campaign promises. The only thing I can think of is blackmail. That's it, because nothing else really makes any sense. And would Harris would have done it? Hard to say. Both Democrats and Republicans are on those Epstein files. They seem to have a lot of appetite for war. Even a lot of Democrats are cheering this on. Chuck Schumer, Fetterman. And from the way we saw Obama and Clinton bomb Libya, we just have this military-industrial complex that will stop at nothing to initiate wars. The only thing you can do as voters is to punish people. Punish them with your votes. The same way Biden and Harris were supporting the genocide in Gaza, there's no way we could have voted for them. You have to teach them a lesson. If the Republicans want to continue down this road too, we're going to lose the midterms. The people are not going to reward us with this. Polling has shown that people are against the war in Iran. I know polling in Israel shows they're up for Iran, but here, no. Now people are just not buying this anymore.